Hi everybody, I'm Hector Garcia, CPA, and if you follow me on YouTube, you know I'm a big fan of all things QuickBooks and artificial intelligence. I recently posted a video where I kind of show how you can use ChatGPT to connect to QuickBooks and pull your QuickBooks data into ChatGPT so you can chat with your data, interact with your data inside ChatGPT. Today I'm going to show you something that's a little bit different. Now I'm going to show you how you can use, let's call it ChatGPT, inside QuickBooks. So QuickBooks actually has built-in artificial intelligence, so users can chat with their data, interact with their data, and ask their financial questions in plain English. Now, when you log into QuickBooks, you're going to see an icon on the top right here, which is the Intuit Intelligence icon. You can click on that and it'll kind of have this little pop-up that comes in through the right side. And you can start chatting with it sort of side to side. You could also click on this kind of full screen button and you go into the full screen chat box with a chat history. Now, another way to kind of pop this information up is to start with a report. So let's say, for example, I want to pull up a profit and loss report and I'll do, let's say, last fiscal year. Pull that up. And then there's a button here that says ask a question beta. It's kind of pretty much the same thing. You click on that and it goes into asking it a question. So essentially, those are the sort of two ways you can do that. Now, in the previous video, I kind of showed that the QuickBooks connector inside ChatGPT was very limited. In this case, you're not going to get such limits. Actually, the native AI inside QuickBooks, it's really powerful. And I want to kind of show you what I mean by that. Let me start by pulling up the report that you're seeing on the screen, and I'm going to do a comparison month by month. And I am going to just collapse my income, my sales. So I'm just going to look at the sales here. So we have 32,000 in January, and our strongest month, it's around May and July. Actually, July and August are two big months. September's a big month. October, November's kind of down. December's kind of down. So we're just looking at our sales trends. I'm showing you the numbers in the P&L. So when I go ask the question, we kind of have that context. So let me go into ask a question. And then I'm going to say, give me a sales analysis for last year for every month. And give me some suggestions on how I can do something better this year based on last year's analysis. Okay, so we'll dictate that information into it, click on send, and then it will take a good minute or two. So I'm actually going to cut the video here and resume right when the answer comes up. Okay, here we go. So monthly sales analysis from January 1st to December 31st, 2025. Accrual method, okay, accounting method accrual. My business generated $378,000, and here's kind of the breakdown. Now, what's nice about this is it gives me, I didn't even ask for it, but it gave me a transaction count with number of customers. It gave me a percentage increase and decrease for each month. So it gave me a lot more. Like if I looked at the P&L, for example, it gave me a lot more than that. So you kind of have to give it some credit. That's actually more useful than just looking at the P&L. Now, here's some key trends. Okay, so there's some seasonality that it's talking about. So it looks like, like the last quarter is a downward trend. Customer engagement, so it says based on the month where you had the most transactions, 10 transactions, and with 8 in total, suggesting that this period was stronger. Transaction efficiency, July achieved as highest sales and moderate transaction volume. The stuff is pretty generic, but again, it's pretty cool analysis, right? Because you can't just magically click and get all this stuff. You have to ask AI for this type of stuff. Here's what looks like a monthly breakdown. Okay, really cool, quick little graph. Okay, and that's it. Okay, so let's see. Now it gives me some follow-up questions. So it says, show top sales by customer 2025. Okay, let's click on that. Let's see what comes up. Sales by top customers 2025. Okay, here we go. So here's my customer sales ranking. Unfortunately, it gave me the project number and not the actual customer name. This is where AI sometimes is not as smart, right? That information is not useful for me. So this particular client file has customers and projects. Now I'll give you some context in terms of like maybe where I would get that information if I was running it in QuickBooks and not through AI. I would do something like sales by customer summary. Okay, that could be good. And then I would run that for last fiscal year. Let's see. Let's do last fiscal year. And last quarter. So this is last year. Okay. And then I would have all my sales by customer and then my customer name and a project number under it. So I probably need to tell AI to also show me the customer name is only showing me the project number. Let's see if it can do that. You're only showing me the project number. I need the customer name and the project number for this to be relevant to me. Okay, let's see if that little correction helps. While this happens, let's look at the graph. Okay, so it's all of our projects listed here with all the sales, I guess. I'm not sure how useful this is. This source, let's see what this source is. Okay, so the source would take you to an actual report. So that's pretty cool. I like that. Can I right click on that and go into a new tab? Oh, cool. Okay, so let's go into a new tab so I kind of don't lose my track here. Let's look at this source. Okay, so it's just basically a detail report from that. Now I did notice that even the customer project doesn't show in this detail report. So it's probably going to have a tough time pulling up that customer information unless it's smart enough to know to pull that. Let's see. So let's go down here. So based on the sales data, here's the breakdown. Okay, so it wasn't smart enough to pull that customer name. So that's, again, I think this did a good job, but the fact that it only came up with the project name and not the customer name, not so good. Maybe we can help it. Can you pull a customer report, just customer list with the projects? That way you'll know what customer each project belongs to. Let's see if maybe we help it a little bit. And again, I know what you're thinking. It's like, well, Hector, if you have to help the AI, couldn't you just pull the reports and get the information yourself? Yeah, you're right. I'm never gonna discuss that to not be a reality, right? Like if I have to help it, that means I could find the information myself. This is like version 1 of this, right? And I think it says beta. It says beta up here. So that means they're still developing it. They're still working with it. So you kind of have to give it a chance. Okay, so now that I have these, let's say if we go back and tell it, can you go back and pull up the original report of sales by project, but group it by customer? But now that you know which projects belong to each customers, can you give me my top sales by customer and the project together? Let's see if it's smart enough to do that. It could be one-dimensional, right? Where it's like, no, it can't really combine data from multiple queries. It can only go to one report and pull data in that one report only. That's possible. As you notice, every time there's a query on on here, it gives you links to like how to access the original information from QuickBooks. So it basically got it from whatever these three things are. And if we go up to the first query, it gives you a direct link to the report where you got the information from. And I would say the same thing here. It gives me the report where you got the information from. I'm gonna right click here and open a new tab to see what the report looks like where it first got the information from. Let's see. Yeah, it's got the same problem, right? Where the customer is showing the project number and not the project number with the customer name. As you may have suspected, there is a way to pull this data. So I can go to customize, go to columns, and then tell it that I also want to see kind of like the full customer name. I may need to go into more columns and look and type full customer name or something like that. Let's see if that's in here somewhere. Full customer name. So this should give me the full at the end. So it gives me it right there, full customer name. Now the problem with this is that that's a report customization workflow. I'm not 100% sure if this AI can do that level of report customization, and it still looks like it can't. Like it just can't. It's just getting stuck by giving me just a project name. Again, I'm not mad at it. For doing it. This is just something that the programmers need to keep in mind. And this happened like by accident, basically. I didn't know I was going to go down this rabbit hole and have this error, but it's just an example. Okay. let's switch things up and let's just look at expenses. Give me lifetime expenses by vendor, and maybe highlight which vendors I'm starting to spend more money, more recent than before, to see if I need to watch my expenses. Again, I'm using plain English. I'm using something that a business owner would ask an accountant, or sort of in the middle of a advisory conversation, something like this will come up. I don't know exactly how the information is going to come out. I'm testing this, kind of putting my business owner hat on, right? So like if I knew exactly what works and what didn't, if I had that memorized somewhere or a cheat sheet somewhere, and I would only ask the commands in that cheat sheet, I guess it would always look like a home run, because it will always pull up the information that I want based on the restrictive list of things that it can or cannot do. But the way AI is supposed to work, it is supposed to interpret plain English and then figure out what that looks like, in terms of a report. And if it's not programmed to customize a report or pull more data inside the report, like the customer project example, it's going to be stuck only giving partial information. This is just something that the developers have to keep in mind, and they have to be receiving feedback from users that are testing this live with live scenarios. Okay, let's see what happens with vendors. So based on your expense data, identify 13 vendors that have increased spending the last 6 months. Okay, cool. Compared to the previous 6 months. Okay, I like that. Let's see the key findings. So public relations agency, $4,500 is new spending. Women's shelter, $2,500 new spending. Computer store, new spending. Okay, cool. And then we have significant growth patterns. So local restaurant went up 415%. Local grocery store went up 261%. Local gas electric company went up 106%. Okay, that's cool. Total spending trend. Okay, so this is very interesting. So you kind of get to see an analysis. This is really awesome, right? I did this level. And these are very generic names because it's a sample file, but this is really neat. I like this. I like this level. And let's look at sources. So it looks like it can pull data from more than one report. So it looks like it is possible it can do that. Okay. Let me just right click here, go to a new tab. Let's see what this is. Expense for all. Let's see what this is. So this is let me hide this thing. How do I hide this stupid thing on the side that keeps popping up? Okay. So here's expense for all detail. Okay. So basically, full name of the vendor, expense account. Okay, this full name actually means the full name of the account. And this is the vendor's name, and this is transaction type. Okay, it's pretty interesting. Kind of a weird report, but that's where it's getting the information from. I'm okay with that. And the second one is expense. Let's see what this is. So another report. Now I find it interesting that it does create these sort of like very customized reports. So it can create some sort of custom reports. That's really cool. Okay. Let's see. Let's ask it something else. Give me a summarized version of financial ratios. Okay. Now, is a business owner going to ask that? No, I don't think so. I don't imagine any non-accountant business owners going in there and going, oh yeah, give me financial ratios. Okay. But this gave me the explanation, but not with the numbers. But it does say, do you want to calculate them from my business? Yes, of course. That's contextual, right? So let's see what that looks like. Okay, here we go. Let's see. So I got my liquidity ratio, my quick ratio, profitability ratio, net margin, leverage and efficiency ratio, some graphs. That's pretty cool. It's kind of weird to have everything on one graph. That's pretty neat. Let's look at the sources. So it pulls up the balance sheet and the profit and loss. That's really awesome. Okay. What can you tell me about my cash flow? Again, just very generic question. That's probably something more akin to what a business owner would ask, or something like, why is my cash so tight, or why do my books show so much? I know what I'm going to ask it next after this, so I'm going to hold up on that one. Let's see what this does. Okay, here we go. Cash flow summary. So your cash flow in the last 12 months is mixed performance. Okay, fine. Your business experienced a net decrease of $64,000 during the period, while your operations generated a positive cash flow. This was offset by substantial outflows from financing activities. Okay, now this is speaking in terms that maybe the average business owner won't understand. And here's a graph that's like insane. Now this might be really accurate, but I don't know. I don't know who looking at this thing and goes, "Oh yeah, I get it." I have no idea what this is, right? But the graph is pretty cool, right? It does contain color coded what's operating activities, what's investment activities, what's net cash flow change. I'm going to ask a question that a business owner would ask. Why does my profit not match the money in my bank? I don't understand why it's showing that I made so much money, but I don't see the cash. Okay, that's a question that I ask. I literally answer this question to every one of my clients every year when we do their tax return. Okay. Okay. This is a common question for business owners. Yeah, but I want to know. Explain it to me. Explain it for me, and it doesn't give me that. Okay, show me the cash versus profit report. Okay, that's interesting. What the heck is a cash versus profit report? Let's click on that. I never heard of that before. If this thing made up some new report that I never seen before, this is pretty awesome. Let's see what happens. Okay. Cash flow reconciliation summary. Your business generated $120,000 in net income over the last 12 months, but your cash position decreased by $32,000. This $153,000 difference is the difference between your profit and cash flow, and is explained by several key factors. Okay. Your net income is $120,000. Owner draws $124,000, largest impact on cash. Okay, that's pretty cool. Accounts receivable changes. Customers owe you more money. Okay. Line of credit changes. You know what? This report is amazing. I love this. I explain this to my clients all the time. Here's items that help your cash position. Prepaid insurances. Okay. Inventory changes. Okay, because inventory went up. Okay, that's interesting. Depreciation, because it's not a cash. Okay. Net cash difference, $32,000. Here's one of those crazy reports again. Can you explain in plain English the difference between the net income that it's shown for last year versus how much money was left in my bank account? Okay, let's see if maybe a question like this will trigger something different. Now, one thing I do want to add, I'm going to go up for a second here. When it first started thinking, which I thought was pretty interesting here in the thinking, it said the statement of cash flow is the perfect for this. Okay, so it's analyzing the question, and it is figuring out which report is going to pull the data from. So it's technically not creating a new report. It's just summarizing the data based on different data points. Now, on this last question I asked it, I said, explain in plain English the difference between net income shown for last year versus how much money is in my bank account. It explained it in plain English, but not with my numbers. So I'm going to say, thank you, but I need the same explanation with my actual numbers. And I want to see the math, how that delta, that difference between net income and cash position changes. I need to understand this as a business owner. Okay, let's see if that's helpful. Again, I wouldn't know how to simulate. I am a business owner myself, but I'm an accountant, and I'm blessed with having the accounting brain. So I don't need to ask these questions. I can understand this by looking at the reports. But I'm trying to put myself in the position of a business owner. Maybe you're a business owner watching this and going, that's a question I would ask, or I would never have occurred to ask this. So when you try this yourself, just be as simple as possible. You don't have to, do it in technical terms. I assume that if you go with technical terms, you might get a better technical answer. But if you're technical at that level, maybe you're good to go with pulling the data from reports. Let's see. Net income for the last 12 months. So kind of the same thing. Okay, you earn 120,000 in net profit. Despite the profit, your cash went down by 32,000. Why is there? I don't know why it says it's $153,000 difference. Okay, yeah, that's my income went up by 120, but my cash went down by 32. Let me pull up a balance sheet real quick. Because I just don't have the context. Let me pull up a balance sheet to see exactly what I'm looking at here. So let's see. Yeah, so money in the bank is $19,000. Okay, and I'm just gonna look for. I'm gonna do a whole rolling year here. So 10, 25. Let's do a whole rolling year, and then we'll do a comparison of a previous period. That way, we'll kind of see like 2 periods back to back. So yeah, so my cash went. This is what they meant by my cash went down by 30 something thousand dollars, right? I had 51,000. I mean, where's the dollar change? Okay, that's the $32,000 that they're talking about, right? So I used to have 12 months ago exactly 51 grand in the bank. Now I have 19. Okay, that's a $32,000 change. So I just wanted to kind of pull that up for context. That's what that meant. Okay, I don't know where the 153 comes from. That I guess that means the cash went down plus the net income is nowhere to be found. I guess that's what it means. So and mostly, I think it's mostly explains it here, and it says money you took out for yourself. By the way, if my clients were to ask this stuff to AI before they call me with this question that they don't understand why they don't have any money in the on their bank account, even though they made a bunch of money, but they completely forget about the fact that they took out $125,000 in cash for their own personal expenses or whatever, it would save me so much time. But also, it would probably take away my value, right? As an accountant, that's kind of my value has been all along, being able to explain these things. So it's a really tough time for accountants to figure out how to reposition themselves in their client's minds as their advisor, when what we used to do is be able to make this plain English explanations the AI can do now. So it's just an interesting thing to think about. Let's see. So subtract the increase in accounts receivable, sales you made but you haven't collected. Subtract the loan, debt that you paid off. The math, yeah, I love this. So here's my cash, everything that went down. I don't know why these things are bullet pointed. I guess that means plus. And then there's the math. Okay, bottom line, even though your business was profitable on paper, larger owner draws unpaid customer invoices meant less cash. Let me ask you an advisory question. Now, I need to have cash in the business so I can have better opportunities. What do I need to change so I have cash in the business, but I still need $120,000 a year to survive? I don't even pay myself a salary. So how can I have more cash? Again, maybe difficult question to answer, because they're going to say something like, well, you need more money. You need to sell more, whatever. So let's see. Collect payments faster, shorten your payment terms, follow up on overdue invoices, offer discounts with early payment. Okay, that's interesting. Spread out your owner draws instead of large, irregular draws. Take smaller, regular draws like a monthly paycheck. Okay, well, it doesn't fix the problem, but I still need the 120 grand. Delay or negotiate payments to vendors. Okay, that's good. Watch big purchases and debt payments. Build cash reserve. Consider paying yourself a salary. Okay. Let's see. Based on my specific spending patterns, where is my opportunity to reduce those purchases? Let's see if it'll come up with something. I mean, I'll probably go back and look at my biggest expenses and say, cut this, cut this. The problem with that, again, this is where accountants or business advisors are going to be just better. They'll know what expenses that if you cut, the quality of your services go down, or you can't cut them, otherwise you can't complete the work. Or if you cut them, your business transforms into an entirely different business. So this is the part where it's a little bit tricky, right? Where this thing is only going to go by numbers and just going to do a cold calculated number calculation for you, and it's not really going to look at the soul of the business, so to speak. In either case, usually you need that combination, right? You need the analytics, you need the hard data. That's what this is good for. And then the gut feeling, and you combine those two things. I mean, I still think that as an accountant myself, as a business advisor, I am more valuable than this. The difference is that it's like 11 o'clock at night right now, and I'm getting the answers. If I were to call my accountant, I wouldn't get the answers until tomorrow. And if it's tax season, I wouldn't get it until 2 weeks from now. So this is the difference, right? Like humans, you can't have to wait for them to be available. This is a machine. It's kind of always available. Let's see. So my largest category increases was conferences and seminars. That's the biggest percentage increase from $350 to $3,500. Okay, this represents $3,000 that you can reduce. Okay, payroll tax expenses. Okay, that went up. Okay, that's an increase in higher wages. I guess I can't do much by that. But my direct labor went up. Indicate expanding workforce. Okay, that doesn't really tell me how to reduce it, but I guess maybe that's coming later. Vendor spending increases. So professional association doubled from last year. That's good to know. Local restaurants went up. Local gas went up. That was part of the other analysis. Let's see, recurring expenses. Okay, so, we have $89,000 of wages. We have 14 grand of insurances, $7,200 of rent. Okay, and where is this is the optimization opportunity. So travel expenses, it says that it appears 6 times this month. Maybe travel less regularly, I guess it's telling me. There's conference and seminars again. There's marketing expenditure. There's meals and entertainment. Okay, so the data shows your business is growing. Here's a weird graph. Again, not very useful. Okay, but it's a graph nonetheless. Okay, it just gives. I guess it's really good at just coming up with these type of numbers. I think I'm very happy with. I am truly very happy with this. I like this. Let me ask maybe a more complicated question. How much taxes do you think I'm going to pay based on the profits of my business for 2025? Now that's obviously a much more complex and loaded question, because it would have to prepare a tax return. But I'll come up with something. Actually, not bad. Net profit for 2025 was $133,000. If you're a sole proprietor, okay, you need to add at least 15% for self-employment tax. For S Corp is pass-through. For C Corp is this. Okay, so for example, for sole proprietor, you need to add at least 15.3%, which is 20 grand, plus federal and possibly state income tax. And so this is not really that useful. Let's see. This is an S corporation. I don't have any other income. I'm single and 50 years old. Could you give me an estimate of how much taxes I will pay? Let's see. Again, don't know if business owner will do this, but okay, let's see. Okay. So absolutely, here's an estimate of your S Corp with net profits of 133. It's a pass-through good. The first 11,000 pays 10%. So, okay, estimated federal 25,000. That's really cool. So you most likely will pay between 25,000 and 27,000. And it says, would you like a breakdown of including QBI? Okay, now it gets really complicated. Let's see, income tax. Can I right click on this? I can't. I think that part. Okay, it opens up in a new tab. Good. I'm always worried about clicking on things because it'll get me out of where I am. So there's an income tax page in QuickBooks which goes through an income tax calculation. I actually don't use this, but it looks like this thing is also doing some sort of calculation. So this is pretty cool. This has nothing to do with AI. This is like a built-in QuickBooks function. But this is really interesting. Either way, let's go back to the AI stuff. But I like the fact that it sends me to the particular area in QuickBooks. Now I'm going to X out of this, and I'm going to go back to the AI again and go to full screen. And there's my history. So it does keep my history here, which is great. I love the fact that it has history. There's a little button here to to hide that, so that's good. And there's really nothing else, right? Just hide, show, new chat, recent, and then the full screen button. So I'm gonna go back to the P&L and show you something that's AI related, but slightly different. Let me pull up last month's numbers. Okay, and what you're gonna see is QuickBooks has this other area called Insights. This also uses AI. It's not a chat-based approach. It's more of a sort of like a quick check internally, and it works really well for like last month analysis. So if I click right there where it says 5 insights, like I'm not clicking on ask questions, you get this this thing that opens in the site, which they're calling the accounting agent, and basically goes in and analyzes a couple of numbers in your book. So it says payroll taxes declined by 76%, consulting revenue went up by 20%, professional liability went down by 100%, reimbursement went down by 95, and employee bonus went down by 100. So it's really cool that it does this analysis. There's another button there that says accounting agent. If you click on that, let's see if something else shows up. I don't use this feature too often, but okay, it's the same thing. Okay, so that button just basically triggers that. And if you change the period, so let's say for example, I'll go back 1 month here, and I'll go back 1 month. So I'm gonna pull up December, and it didn't find any insights for December. Let me go back, pull up 1 month again. Okay, no insight. So where I found this to work best is when you do like a last month analysis, when you just go back 1 month. I think it goes really well. I'm not sure if they're gonna be adding more of these sort of instant insight features to more months, but it's really mostly when you go last month where you get that analysis. Now, I don't know if that's all my files basically a complete coincidence that with all I can't find last month here. Last month. I don't know if it's all my files complete coincidence that only works last month, or is it if it's just kind of a norm that only 5 months. Now there's also this thing called review summary. It's actually part of their sort of AI package. That again, it only works for last month, which I assume these things are connected, which will kind of create like a summary of the last month and do a deep analysis for you. Okay, so I won't click on that again. There's edit and export PDF. I like this. Let's click on that. The editing part, I guess, is to move things around. So I can, I guess I could just click on edit here. And I can type things in there. That's really cool. I can't move it around. I could only edit each one. Okay, that's pretty neat. Let's go to generate PDF. And let's look at the PDF. Okay, nice. Very pretty PDF. Very cool. Okay, let's X out of that. X out of that. Let's look at the analysis. So it analyzes our total income, our cost of goods sold, our profit margins. Here's a total income analysis. Even though this is only last month, it actually did the entire year, which is fine. Cost of goods sold also entire year. Profit margin also the entire year. I like that. Total expense, again, the entire year. Then we have our balance sheet analysis. So changes in accounts receivable, changes in accounts payable. This is great. This is really, really nice. I love this. And this is all part of their, their AI, the AI reporting, which I think is, it's really useful. They come a long way. I mean, it's much better than using ChatGPT and exporting PDFs over there and doing analysis there. Like this stuff that you can do built in here is becoming really powerful. And I'm just continuing to look forward to the next versions of this and how they make this better. I'm really impressed with what Intuit has done with their AI so far. So anyway, if you like this video, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next one.